What's going on, Cardinals fans, and welcome back into the Brenden Schaeffer St. Louis Cardinals Writer YouTube channel. I'm Brenden Schaeffer. I hope everybody's had a safe and happy Thanksgiving. The Cardinals have been busy working on a contract for Sonny Gray, which they haven't announced yet as of this recording, but at 4:30 p.m. in just a few minutes, John Mozeliak is expected to make that deal official, as the Cardinals have added now 3 free agent starters to their rotation this offseason. I've got my radio show coming up on KTGR in just a few minutes, but I wanted to hop on here real quickly while I had some time and talk over Sonny Gray. This is a move that we've long expected to come, as we've talked about on podcasts and videos here on the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe, by the way, if you want Cardinals content all off season long. But Sonny Gray always seemed like he would make sense as a Cardinal. A guy who pitched really well last year, is going on age 34 now, so the Cardinals wouldn't be on the hook proverbially for as many years on a Sonny Gray contract compared to maybe a younger ace that they would have gone after, like Yoshi Yamamoto, like Blake Snell, or some of the others out there in the free agent market. But the Cardinals get Sonny Gray for 3 years and $75 million, which I think is about the price that we would have expected, and it allows some certainty now for John Mozeliak in this Cardinals rotation to be better than they were a year ago. It's not the exciting upside add that I think a lot of Cardinals fans are hoping maybe is still on the way. But I think if you look at what the Cardinals have done over the past couple of weeks, they have established a much more firm foundation for this rotation by adding Lance Lynn, adding Kyle Gibson, and now they add Sonny Gray for a total amount spent, well, not all that much, honestly. $25 million per year on Sonny Gray. You have $10 million for Lance Lynn on a 1-year deal with an option. There were some incentives baked into that as well, but that's about $10 to $11 million total we expect. And Kyle Gibson was $12 million. So you add all that up, you still have a little bit of money to play with if the Cardinals indeed started the offseason with $60 to $65 million. I think there are some differing opinions about that. But before this Sonny Gray signing, I saw people say, oh, the Cardinals probably don't have enough to spend $25 million on a starter. Some people said that they should never have a cap. They should be able to spend on a guy like Sonny Gray and go get Yamamoto. So we're going to talk a lot more about what's realistic on B Shafe Daily tonight. I'll post it on Monday night, and I'll have it for everybody available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and right here on YouTube sometime overnight Monday, between Monday and Tuesday, so that when you wake up Tuesday, we'll have a much more full reflection of everything going on with the Cardinals and Sonny Gray. By then, we will have heard from John Mozeliak, and so we'll try to piece together a little bit more firmly what his thoughts are and maybe where the Cardinals go from here. I should expect that we'll hear from Mozeliak that they're going to go after some bullpen names. There may be some trades in the offing. We know in terms of outfielders, they've still got that glut that we talked about a lot in 2023, and I would make the case that they could afford to maybe switch some of that out for some more reliable names in that outfield. And could that be a 2 birds for 1 stone kind of situation, as the Cardinals might be able to package an outfielder and some other players that they aren't necessarily needing to compete in 2024 for something they could actually use? That's something that I think is possible still for the Cardinals after some of these deals. I know there have been a lot of rumors, speculation going on about Twitter today regarding Steven Matz and whether the Cardinals might be shopping him. My instant reaction to that news, I call it news, it's really more of rumors and reporting, and we'll see what of it ends up being true as people kind of sift through, and maybe we'll never know. But if a deal doesn't come to fruition, there's really no way to probably disprove it. But my instant reaction is that it wouldn't be that surprising to learn that the Cardinals are maybe looking to float Steven Matz out there, because there were reports of that happening in July before the trade deadline. And if you do a little bit of quick math, I think the pitchers that you know are going to be on this team are the 3 that they've just signed: Sonny Gray, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, plus Miles Michaelis. They got him for a couple of more years with the extension he signed before last season. So I look at that as the 4 bona fides for the rotation, and then you maybe have a little bit of wiggle room. What do the Cardinals want to do with Steven Matz? He pitched well for the most part down the stretch last year when he was healthy, but over the 2 seasons he's been in St. Louis, the Cardinals haven't been able to rely upon him to throw a bunch of quality innings. Now they're to the point, though, where they've got guys who they feel like, from a workhorse perspective, can give them those innings, right? All of Gray, Gibson, and Lynn were 180-plus innings last year. Varying degrees of quality, obviously, with those innings. But I think from a perspective of filling in the floor and making sure you've got a more firm foundation for your rotation, the Cardinals have accomplished that to this point. A lot of Cardinals fans wondering, though, what about an ace? Does Sonny Gray qualify for that? Look, if he pitches the way that he did in 2023, I think the answer would be a resounding yes. He had a 2.79 ERA. Don't look at the win-loss record. It's irrelevant when talking about how a guy actually performed. Yeah, it's nice that Kyle Gibson won 15 games, but that doesn't mean he's a better pitcher than Sonny Gray, who went 8-8 last year, right? 2.79 ERA jumps off the page, as does the 2.83 WHIP, walks and hits per innings pitched. Like, that's a pretty solid number for, or I should say FIP. I'm recording this video. I'm going to keep this in there. WHIP, I don't know what his WHIP was. I know what his FIP was. His fielding independent pitching was 2.83. Because I'm under a time crunch, you guys just get the full effect of the blooper reel on this one. My point being, the FIP matched the ERA almost exactly. So in terms of the quality of Sonny Gray's pitching, he kind of got what he deserved with a 2.79 ERA, which is very encouraging for what the Cardinals could hope to get from him, not only this year, but for the next 3 seasons. Because, again, a $25 million AAV in 24, 25, and 26 is a pretty hefty sum. The Cardinals are hoping that he can be at the top of that rotation. But other than that, do they have anybody that you feel great about in terms of the top of the rotation? Miles Mikolas has been that at times, but this past year had some bad luck and honestly just some bad performance from him, to where the Cardinals, I don't know the degree to which they think they'll be able to count on that. You think Lance Lynn can pitch better than he just did in 23? I would bet on that. How much better remains to be seen. And as for Kyle Gibson, I think you're probably just going to get what you get from him. It's been pretty reliable over the course of history, but even a pitcher like that, you need more from your defense, I think, to be able to stabilize a Kyle Gibson in your rotation and have him give you the quality innings that you're looking for. So to me, if the Cardinals want to be really creative and aggressive, they could look to float Steven Matz in a trade and then maybe bring back a pitcher like Tyler Glasnow in another trade. I think the best case scenario, if the Cardinals really are serious about looking to move Matz, would maybe be if the Rays are interested in Matz, because I think to get Tyler Glasnow, you could say, hey, Rays, this guy's half the price. You have him for 2 years instead of 1. He's not the upside that Tyler Glasnow is, which is why we, the St. Louis Cardinals, are also giving you prospects, a guy like Alec Burleson. Do they want Dylan Carlson? Like, what would be the other names that go in that deal to get the Rays to consider the upside of that swap? They already maybe don't want to pay Glasnow, which makes it possible to even get to the table. Whether the Rays want Steven Matz or not, though, I feel like Glasnow, a super worthy target now that the Cardinals have stocked the other 4 spots of their rotation with innings eaters, and I'm counting Mikolas within that. He just threw 200 innings. Now you can afford to maybe play around a little bit with upside. So is Steven Matz viewed by the Cardinals as a guy that they can run out for 30 starts, or do they have skepticism about that, and they might even be willing to pay down some of the contract to send him away? Because if he's owed $22 million and you only pay $6 or $8 million of that, it frees you up to potentially have an $8 or $9 million pitcher. Dylan Cease would fit right within that, and he would be a trade candidate if the Cardinals really want to go bold. Otherwise, they just pay a little bit more for the 2024 rotation by going after Glasnow, whether that's the same trade as the Cease deal or a separate one. It doesn't really matter. The part about it that matters is it's tougher to do 2 trades. So that's kind of on the horizon, at least for me, before John Mozeliak's press conference on Monday afternoon. That's where I'm going to wrap it up here, though, because I don't want to spend too much time hypothesizing when we don't necessarily know what Mo's going to say. He might get out there and say, yep, our rotation is done. We're looking to the bullpen. In fact, that's what I expect him to say, and by the time you're watching this, you'll already know the answer. But we'll talk Monday night about whether the things Mo ends up saying in that press conference are to be believed, or could there be a little bit of a smokescreen in play where the Cardinals don't necessarily want other teams to believe that they're still active in the starting pitching market. I do think free agency is unlikely based on the original trajectory the Cardinals described, but a trade could be possible depending on how creative they want to get. Stay tuned to this channel because we're going to spend a lot of time tonight talking about exactly that on B-Shape Daily. So hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Cardinals content this entire offseason. Thanks for bearing with me on the lack of editing and quality of this video, but appreciate you guys as always for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the channel. Peace.